When you think of the Maldives, you probably think of those incredible, stunning beaches, right? Well, right now, its central bank is busy building something totally different, a digital economy that's actually built to last. We're going to dive deep into this really ambitious 5-year master plan from the Maldives Monetary Authority, a blueprint that's designed to completely rewire how money moves across the islands.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the big problems they're trying to fix, the cracks in the foundation, if you will. Then, we'll walk through the new blueprint itself. We'll break down the ambitious three-phase build, meet the new independent architect in charge, and finally, get a glimpse of the finished vision. You know, any great plan has to start by figuring out what's broken. Before you can build something new and strong, you've got to find all the cracks in the old foundation, and that's exactly where this story begins. So, what exactly were these cracks? Well, for starters, there was a huge one: foreign currency leakage. In a tourism-heavy economy, a ton of money was just flowing right out of the country through foreign payment apps. Second, local tech startups, the little guys, were getting squeezed out by bigger players. It just wasn't a fair fight. And on top of that, there were these massive roadblocks stopping Maldivian companies from taking their own innovations global. The key thing to get here is that the old system wasn't just clunky, it was actively holding back local talent. Okay, so how do you fix all that? Well, we're not talking about a quick patch-up job here. This is a brand new blueprint, designed from the ground up with a really clear set of principles to build a stronger and, frankly, a much fairer digital economy for everybody. The whole project is built on 5 big ideas. Basically, create a level playing field for everyone, keep more of the money inside the Maldives, build up local talent and skills, make sure all the different payment systems can actually talk to each other, and finally, get local companies ready to compete on the world stage. Okay, quick heads up, you're gonna hear this acronym a lot. PSP. It just stands for Payment Service Provider. Don't let the jargon throw you. Just think of those local payment apps you have on your phone. These are the innovators, the local heroes that this whole new blueprint is designed to champion. And this is where it gets really smart. One of the plan's best moves is this idea of structural separation. It's simple. Everybody gets a clear job and stays in their lane. Banks, they handle the big, heavy-duty stuff like settlement and compliance. Telecom companies, they provide the pipes, the basic infrastructure. And that frees up the PSPs to do what they do best: innovate and create awesome new payment services for all of us. No more stepping on each other's toes.
All right, so we've got the blueprint, but how do you actually build this thing? Well, a project this huge can't happen all at once, so they've broken it down into a really logical 3-phase construction plan that rolls out over 5 years.
Here's the 30,000-foot view. The first year is all about stabilizing the foundation. The next 2 years are focused on strengthening the local players. And the final 2 years? That's all about scaling up to compete globally. It's a simple mantra: stabilize, strengthen, scale. So let's dive into phase 1. For the first 12 months, the entire goal is to clear the ground and fix those foundational cracks we talked about. It's all about pouring a new, perfectly level foundation where everyone, big or small, gets a totally fair shot. And the actions here are super targeted. They're going to officially define those separate jobs for banks and telcos. They'll force the big telecom companies to give fair network access to everyone. They'll demand transparent reports to actually track that currency leakage. And this one's huge: they'll simplify the compliance rules so that small local startups can actually afford to get in the game. Okay, the foundation's poured and it's stable. What's next? Phase 2, strengthening. This is where they start actively building up the power, the capability, the local muscle of the Maldivian fintech industry. And this is where things get really proactive. They're creating a special fund to directly support local research and development. They're making foreign firms reinvest some of their profits back into the Maldives. Plus, banks will have to help local PSPs process international payments, and a new national digital ID is going to make everything way smoother and more secure. All right, phase 3. This is the big one. The foundation is solid, the local industry is strong, and now it's time to throw open the doors and connect Maldivian fintech to the rest of the world. This is the end game. We're talking about a dedicated office to help Maldivian companies expand abroad, making deals with key countries like India and Singapore, plugging into major payment networks, and actively marketing Made in Maldives tech as a world-class brand. This is all about turning a local industry into a global export. But, a brilliant plan is one thing.
you also need a trustworthy architect to make sure the whole thing is built correctly, right? That's why this plan includes a massive overhaul of the overseer itself, the Maldive Monetary Authority. Look, to make sure this roadmap actually works, the central bank itself is getting a transformation. The goal is to create a structure that's truly independent and accountable, to keep politics out of it and make sure the plan stays on track. And this chart says it all. Think of it like this. Before, you had the governor acting as both the board chair and the CEO. All the power was in one place. Now, you have an independent chair leading the board on policy, while the governor acts as the CEO, focused only on getting things done. In short, they're separating the power, which is exactly what best practice regulators in places like the UK do. And this isn't just shuffling deck chairs. The payoffs here are huge. This new structure cuts down on political influence, it creates crystal clear accountability, and, critically, it sends a massive signal to the rest of the world. When global investors see this modern, independent setup, their confidence in the whole system just skyrockets. So we've walked through the whole construction site, right? We've seen the problems, the blueprint, the three-phase build, and the new architect. Now let's jump to the end. What does this finished digital economy actually look like once the ribbon is cut? After all this work, what's the end goal? What does done actually look like a few years from now? What are the real-world results we should expect to see? First up, the economic wins. That currency leakage we talked about, it's way down. More of the money made from digital payments is staying right here, being reinvested in the Maldivian economy. And that means more Maldivians are getting good, high-quality jobs in the local tech scene. Next, the competitive wins. The market is no longer tilted in favor of a few big companies. It is a truly level playing field. And when you have real competition, you get a ton of innovation, which for you and me just means better, cooler, and more convenient ways to pay for things. And finally, the strategic wins, the real big picture stuff. We're talking about Maldivian payment companies successfully operating in other countries. The Maldives being seen as a genuine hub for financial technology in the region. It all adds up to a payment system that isn't just efficient, but is also resilient, sovereign, and totally ready for the future. This is so much more than a regulatory update. It's a strategic declaration of digital independence.